And finally, what about prophecy? How does the Bible stand up to the prophetic test? Around 588 BC, the prophet Ezekiel was given some very specific prophecies against the city of Tyre from the hand of God. Within the text of this prophecy, Ezekiel made 6 very specific predictions against the city of Tyre. He said that King Nebuchadnezzar would destroy the mainland city, that the debris of the city would be thrown into the water, that the city would become like a bare rock, that many nations would come against the city of Tyre, that the city would never again be rebuilt, that fishermen would spread their net over the site. According to all the historical records, 3 years after Ezekiel made these predictions, King Nebuchadnezzar did come against the mainland city of Tyre. Listen to what the Encyclopedia Britannica has to say. After a 13-year siege by Nebuchadnezzar II, Tyre made terms and acknowledged Babylonian authority. When Nebuchadnezzar broke down the gates, he found that the city was almost totally empty. The majority of the people had moved by ship to an island about 1/2 mile off the coast and fortified a city there. So the mainland city was destroyed in 573 BC by the king, fulfilling prediction 1. However, the city of Tyre on the island remained a powerful city for another 240 years. Then Alexander the Great comes on the scene. After Alexander had defeated the Persians at the Battle of Issus, he marched southward toward Egypt, calling upon the Phoenician cities to open their gates. This was part of his general plan to deny their use of the Persian fleet. The citizens of Tyre, however, refused to do so, and Alexander laid siege to their city. Possessing no fleets, he demolished the old Tyre on the mainland, and he scraped up all the debris and built a mole 200 feet wide across the watery strait separating the old and the new cities, and erected towers and war engines at the further end, thus fulfilling predictions 2 and 3.
In 480 BC, the Persians invade Greece, destroying many holy sites in the process, including the Acropolis of Athens. 150 years later, in 336 BC, one man takes on the quest for revenge. He is Alexander the Great, and at only 20 years of age, he stands entirely in charge of the most feared army in the Greek world. May 334 BC, Alexander crosses the Hellespont, the body of water separating Europe from Asia. He is determined to defeat the powerful Persian king Darius III. By November 333 BC, Darius leads his Persian army to the coastal town of Issus to stop Alexander's advance. Greatly outnumbered, Alexander uses his military skill and the strength of his cavalry to break through enemy lines. Surrounded and with his top generals killed in battle, Darius panics and flees the battlefield. But instead of chasing Darius and his defeated army, Alexander heads south towards Egypt to secure his flank.
Which is absolutely key. It's on the far western flank of the Persian Empire. Nobody can, as it were, conquer the whole Persian Empire without conquering Egypt.
Alexander knows that to fully defeat Darius in the Persian Empire, he must destroy its powerful navy. His campaign strategy will take his army along the Mediterranean coast to capture the key Persian naval bases in what is now Turkey and the Middle East.
He has virtually disbanded his own fleet. He's decided that he's going to conquer the Persians' naval bases by land.
Alexander faces no resistance as he heads deeper into the Persian Empire. He easily takes control of Phoenician coastal cities that were allies of the Persians.
Abydos, Byblos, Sidon, all of them welcomed him and came over to his side. They deserted the Persian side. And it probably seemed to Alexander as though he was going to expect the same thing at Tyre as well.
But the island city of Tyre, the strongest Phoenician power with a population of at least 40,000, is a different story.
By this point, however, the Tyrians have decided no dice. It's all or nothing. And so they answer Alexander by taking the two envoys up to the walls, and in full view of all the Macedonians and all of their Phoenician allies, they cut the throats of these individuals and they toss them off the walls. That's a pretty stark answer, and it's not one that Alexander receives well.
Alexander begins construction of the land bridge to connect Tyre to the mainland. It's called a mole, and it will be a massive and complicated construction project. Alexander's engineers devise a unique solution to reinforce the sides of the mole. 2 rows of wooden piles are driven into the sea floor, creating a solid barrier to contain tons of earth and trees. To attack the workers, the Tyrians build an ingenious ship with an extended prow that can reach the land bridge.
They send a ship full of cauldrons of boiling matter, sulfur, fire, which, when the ship crunches into the mole, the combustible material spreads all over the mole, and the mole is destroyed.
Alexander decides to rebuild the mole. This time he'll construct it at an angle to protect it from the strong Mediterranean currents. In addition, Alexander realizes he must now use the navies of the Phoenician coastal cities he's already conquered to protect his workers during construction. Finally, after 7 months of perilous construction and hundreds of deaths, the half-mile-long mole is joined to the island. Now, Alexander's men can attempt to break down Tyre's walls from close range.
Alexander had siege towers said to be 150 feet tall and believed to be the tallest ever built, slowly rolled upon the causeway to the walls themselves. This is his opportunity to use his most powerful rams against the walls.
The siege towers are multi-level wooden platforms designed to support catapults, battering rams, and troops as they attack the city. Early on an August morning in 332 BC, the attack begins. The assault is conducted on several fronts, but it's the catapults that prove indispensable.
Catapults are placed on the mole, on towers near the mole, and on ships that are surrounding the mole. And these catapults lay down a withering fire of rocks and missiles.
Alexander's forces pummel the beleaguered city for hours. Finally, a large breach is made in the southern wall with a ship-borne battering ram.
Alexander himself, with 2,000 of his best troops, rode in what is believed to be the first known use in history of maritime boarding bridges were lowered on the rubble, affording the troops a clear path to the breach.
7,000 to 8,000 actual combatants throw themselves at Alexander, and when it's all said and done, all of the combatants are basically killed or captured, and the population of the entire city, which could have approached 25 to 35,000, is either killed or enslaved.
Alexander was able to batter down the walls and mop up the city, and when the city was taken, 8,000 of its inhabitants were slain by the sword. 30,000 were sold into slavery. The ancient city was finally destroyed, never to be rebuilt, thus fulfilling predictions 4 and 5. Secular historian Philip Meyer made an interesting observation. He said that the larger part of the side of the once great city is now just a bare rock. It's a place where fishermen that still frequent that spot spread their nets to dry. What are the odds? Yeah, that's a fulfillment of prophecy number 6. What are the odds of Ezekiel to look at Tyre in his day and to make all of these specific predictions from pure human wisdom? Well, if you wanted to put a number to it, the odds are only 1 in 75 million.